Hi, this is Jen Rubin, editor-in-chief of the Contrarian. We are thrilled to have back with us Congressman Ritchie Torres. Welcome.
It's an honor to be here.
It is wonderful to see you. We are well past the 1 week mark on the shutdown, and we're hearing a lot of different things from the Republicans. The president wants to meet with you. He thinks he's already meeting with you. The House is away. What are your Republican colleagues doing? There seems to be real disarray on their side.
Look, the position of the Republicans is politically unsustainable. Democrats are committed to reopening the government and keeping healthcare affordable, whereas Republicans have largely been on vacation, content to let the government shut down and let millions of people lose their healthcare and millions more see their healthcare costs spiral out of control. And the American people are on our side. According to KFF, nearly 80% of Americans are in favor of extending the ACA tax credits. And the 80% supermajority includes more than 90% of Democrats, more than 80% of independents, and nearly 60% of Republicans, including MAGA Republicans. So not only do we have the moral high ground, but we are on the winning side of an 80-20 issue, and Republicans know it, and Donald Trump knows it, and even Marjorie Taylor Greene admits it.
Exactly. So welcome to the resistance, Representative Greene. One of the things that's happening, and it will increase as we approach November 1, are people are going to get those notices that say how much their health care is going to cost next year. Do you think that will resonate as people literally get the bill for what this is going to cost them?
When the American people find out about the premium shock that's coming, it's going to lead to a massive backlash. And keep in mind, the cost of healthcare has more than doubled since 2000, rising by 121%. And so premiums that have doubled are in danger of doubling once again and doubling overnight. And so if Republicans fail to extend the ACA tax credits, up to 24 million Americans will see their premiums rise by an average of 114%. And if you're a 55-year-old couple earning $85,000 a year, you will see your premiums not double, but triple from 7,000 to 24,000. I am not aware of a working class couple in America that can afford a $17,000 increase in their premiums in the span of a few months.
And what that really means is many people will have to lose their insurance altogether.
Yes.
So they'll won't get preventative care, they'll get sicker, and then they'll wind up in the emergency room with much more expensive health care that the emergency room will be obligated to care for. How is that a good use of our dollars, and how does that make any sense from a health standpoint?
But providing people with health care preventatively is not only good morals, it's good economics. It saves us far more because the cost of emergency care is known to be high. And, a common talking point that we've heard from Republicans is that Democrats are, quote, fighting for the health care of undocumented immigrants. Well, first, undocumented immigrants are ineligible for the ACA tax credits that we're intent on extending. But second, there is one president who did sign a law that guarantees health care to undocumented immigrants, and that president was Ronald Reagan. And I'm not aware of a single Republican who's proposing that we repeal Ronald Reagan's law guaranteeing health care to undocumented immigrants in the emergency room.
And essentially, that's the law that says if you show up in the hospital on death's door, they have to treat you, because it's not like we're doing them a favor. We don't want people dying on the street or running around with highly communicable diseases. So it's unclear exactly what Republicans' problem with that is. We're also looking, of course, at these massive cuts to Medicaid. What's happening on that front?
Look, we're intent on reversing the cuts that Republicans have made. The so-called Big Beautiful Bill, which is Orwellian in name, not only cut SNAP by over $300 billion, but cut Medicaid by over $800 billion. And so it's going to cause, upward of 10 million people to lose their health insurance. And, Medicaid is the largest source of insurance in the United States, and it's been destabilized by the big ugly law.
And for hospitals like the one in your district, which also happen to be the biggest employer, what is the Medicaid cuts, if these go through, going to inflict not only on the healthcare but on those institutions as employers, as economic mainstays of their community?
Well, look, it's worth noting that in the second quarter of 2025, most of the job growth was concentrated in the healthcare sector. It is often the case that healthcare providers, particularly hospitals, are the largest employers, especially in rural America and especially in underserved urban areas like the Bronx. And so if these Medicaid cuts go forward, and if the expiration of the ACA tax credits go forward, it's going to lead to the widespread closing of hospitals, nursing homes, clinics. It's going to lead to widespread displacement and unemployment. Defunding healthcare is not only bad morals, it's bad economics.
It does seem that president who was elected to lower costs is not doing what he said he was going to do. You not only have the healthcare costs that you alluded to, energy prices are continuing to go up, and perhaps worst of all are these tariffs that are driving the cost of virtually everything up. How are folks in your district who are working class people, many who are really in the lower income levels, how are they surviving? How do they make ends meet during this period of time?
My working poor constituents are struggling to survive. Like, imagine if you're a single mother. I was raised by a single mother who raised my twin brother and me. So imagine you're a single mother raising two children in the Bronx. And since 2020, you've seen the cost of groceries rise by 20 to 30%. And then you see Donald Trump cut your SNAP benefits by 20 to 30%. And then you see Donald Trump propose to cut your WIC benefits by 75%. We are making it unaffordable, dangerously unaffordable, to have a family in America. Like, America has become a hostile environment for families because of the affordability crisis. And I want to speak about the WIC program because it is so, WIC is so vital that it serves 40% of America's infants. It provides nutritious food to nearly 7 million women, infants, and children. And the longer the government shutdown persists, the greater the risk to the WIC program. And keep in mind, when it comes to infants and children who are in their most fragile and formative years of development, there's nothing temporary about a temporary government shutdown. The loss of funding for WIC could inflict permanent developmental damage on infants and toddlers. Like, for infants, nutrition is not a luxury, it is a lifeline. An iron deficiency can damage the brain. A vitamin D deficiency can weaken your bones and your immune system. A protein deficiency can stunt growth. And so when you undermine a program like WIC, as the Republicans have done, you're not only starving infants or children of food, you're starving them of a future.
It is rather incredible. It is not as if these hardships are only falling on blue districts like your own.
Yes.
You noted that red districts, particularly rural ones, have these same issues, these same problems. Do you think the red state and red district lawmakers begin to recognize this or feel this? I can't think of anything more devastating to a rural community than have the only hospital within a couple hundred miles shut down, or to lose food assistance. And of course, farmers are beginning to go bankrupt because of the combination of the tariffs, the cutoff of USAID. Rural America is suffering as much, if not more, than any part of America.
I mean, Donald Trump and Republicans are betraying their constituents. So there are about 24 million people on the ACA marketplace. Of the 24, 75% live in red states. whereas only 25% live in blue states, right? 18 to 19 million people in the marketplace are from red states, whereas 5 to 6 million are from blue states. And so Republicans are not only abandoning the American people, they're abandoning the very people who voted him into office. And the irony here is that you have blue state representatives like me fighting for the health care of their red
Yes.
state constituents.
Yes. Well, perhaps this will make a bit of a difference in people's political evaluations. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about one of your newly elected colleagues who is yet to be seated by the Speaker of the House, Representative Grahava. And she was elected weeks ago now. The speaker has his folks on vacation and is refusing to seat her. Is that appropriate in your view? And what's going to go on with that? How long is he going to refuse to recognize the votes of hundreds of thousands of Americans?
Well, it's profoundly undemocratic, but it's hardly coincidental that Speaker Johnson refuses to seat a Democratic member of Congress when we're one signature away from discharging the Epstein petition. And so I see it as nothing more than a naked ploy to protect Donald Trump from accountability. Everyone knows that there is no one in Washington, D.C. who has closer and longer ties to Jeffrey Epstein than Donald Trump. Like, he is at the core of the Epstein conspiracy theory. And so Mike Johnson's priority is not to protect the healthcare of the American people. It's not to protect the functioning of the federal government. It's to protect Donald Trump, his Lord and Savior. Like, the ideology of the Republican Party is no longer conservatism. It's Trumpism. It's a cult of personality around Donald Trump.
I think that's very hard to dispute. So, last question for you, Congressman. You know your colleagues better than everyone. Do you think the Republicans are finally going to crack and we're going to see some progress in the next week or so?
Look, I feel like we have the moral high ground, the political high ground. Donald Trump is suggesting that the problem has to be solved. Marjorie Taylor Greene is conceding as much. The Republican position is unsustainable. So, but I can tell you, look, as Democrats, we have a choice. We could have either stood by passively and become complicit, or we can fight. And we have wisely chosen to fight for the healthcare of the American people. And I'm optimistic that we will win that fight.
Well, as Congressman, thank you for all you're doing. Thank you for coming on. It's very hard to argue that you guys, as you say, don't have the moral and political high ground. Perhaps that will permeate Donald Trump's brain at some point, and he'll maybe act upon it. So thank you so much, Congressman, and we'll look forward to seeing you real soon.
Always a pleasure.